Do you remember malls? Yeah, you know, those huge buildings that put all the most and best of what people loved all into one spot for them to enjoy. You know, like food and lots of it, movie theaters, shops and stores, arcades, sometimes even a smaller version of a theme park, or even sports and competition games. You know what I'm saying, malls. It's been a while since I had been to an American mall, since it's been a while since I've been to the States, but the last I can remember, it was still a very similar experience to what I remember them being. A bunch of food, a bunch of shops, and a bunch of entertainment. Well, what seems absolutely crazy to me is that the internet tells me that now malls in America are on the strict decline. And that kind of sucks to hear because, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, malls are a great part of a lot of people's teenagehoods. A creator friend, Seth, over at Weltburger Wanderlust, even covered this in a video of his own not too long ago. I mean, who doesn't remember on Fridays when the weekend finally comes, you finally get the chance to go hang out with your friends and do all these things all in one place, all at one time, and then many times way into the wee hours of the evening and night. That was great for teenagers. So even though I don't get out to them often, it still kind of saddens me to hear that they're going away. So naturally, I took to the internet and did a little Googling, and sure enough, there was a confirmation that malls are indeed failing and going down and disappearing in the States. But this was the States. That's not where I live. What about here in Germany? So I had also been to a couple malls over here in Germany, and from what I can see, they were thriving. But it got me to thinking that if the malls were going downhill in the US, could this possibly be a problem that Germany could face too? I mean, on the surface, it doesn't seem like an issue as a consumer, but you never know what lies underneath. Because I wouldn't have thought that the malls in the US would be going downhill. Who would ever just think that randomly? But I don't always just randomly keep up with financials or economic health of any given country, so I don't know. So the only thing that I actually had was what I could see with my own eyes, so I set out to go find a mall here in Germany. So there was definitely a lot of malls that I could set out to find, but I wanted to go to one that was considered to be doing pretty good. Now, it would definitely be hard to judge that from just scouring the internet, but I gave myself a set of criteria, and it came down to popularity, size, and proximity to where I lived. So after a day or two of fussing around with it, this is the mall that I chose. The Westfield Centro, located in the quaint town of Oberhausen. From what I know, this mall is or once was the largest in Germany, with 156 stores, 47 restaurants, and a cinema. Not to mention a Ferris wheel that you saw a while ago, a man-made beach and river access, and an arena where they put on concerts and other events. For the record, I totally trust this place, PME Legend. The coat that you see me wearing in the wintertime, I bought that 4 years ago now, and it is still holding up. Very quality merchandise right there. Crazy expensive, but worth the price, in my opinion. Speaking of expensive, check it out, a Dyson store. So I must say, there's just something about being out in a mall. There's something about being amongst the people. There's something about having everything that you want, need, right in the same place at the same time. And this place did not disappoint. There is so much to see. And I was a bit overwhelmed in the beginning, but I think it's due to me being super excited, a little bit anxious, and also the fact that I had to make sure I got good video footage. So I had to take a break, calm down, stop recording for a bit, take it all in, see what I can see, and then continue recording. And like I said, this place did not disappoint. It is one amazing place. One of the better malls I've seen in Germany, and it's probably only number 4 thus far. Continuing on with the stroll, I noticed a Guess store.
I did not even know Guess was still in business, but here we have a Guess store. Crazy, right? Right next to the Superdry. I also have to give some props to the structural design. Look at this ceiling. This is amazing. And another thing for me is I love having trees and plants indoors. It just makes the place feel a little more alive, in my opinion. And here we have an upper view of the center court. Oh man, this is how you know that you're malling. I love the monitors that they have placed up here, even though it's just strictly for advertising. It's just a nice touch just to have them all playing at the same time like that. A New Yorker always has to make its appearance, y'all know that. I've never shopped here though. Back in my hometown, there was a whole mall named the Galleria. And this is the way that led to the food court, which held a decent amount of those 47 restaurants that I told you this place had. Also had a GameStop sitting right outside the food court. And for some reason, this place seems to be sponsored by Coca-Cola, because their logo is everywhere in this place. And just to run through a few of the restaurants, you see they have a Mövenpick, they have a Döner House. Here is a pizza and pasta company where me and my daughters ate. Down the way here, you got a Subway, you have a Dunkin' Donuts, you have a KFC. Next to that, you have an Indian food restaurant, Masti. Right between here, you can see there's a Frittenwerk, which is nothing but French fries and different varieties of making them and creating them. And then, of course, a Five Guys. You can't get away from this place, and as I mentioned earlier, there's some more Coca-Cola branding. And where would a mall, or it seems any other high traffic place in Germany, be without a McDonald's? There we have it once again, McDonald's and Five Guys following me everywhere. Just beyond Mickey D's, there's a barbecue joint, and next to that is a Pizza Hut, another Palmas place, and then a seafood place next to that, followed by an Asian food restaurant, a place I'd never heard of, a McChicken. My guess is that they serve nothing but chicken dishes. Next to that, another Nordsee, which you've seen the first one at the entrance to the mall itself when we first came in. And then a Curry Carl, something else I'd never heard of, a Butcher. And lastly, a Wonder Waffle. After grabbing a quick bite to eat, it was time to see what the rest of this place had to offer. Thus far, I was very impressed, so I couldn't wait to see what the other floors and levels had going on. We hadn't explored every single level or direction, so there was still lots to see. Again, here's more of that beautiful design of this place. And as I mentioned before, I love symmetrical things. I love how these rings are lined up in the center like that. I don't know, it just does something for me. Here's some more. If you want, you can even get your car shopping on right here in the mall. My, how things have progressed. Upward view of a few more stores, Fossil, JD, Only, and New Balance, for example. Not to mention Jack Jones and Vera Moda. And here we go, the store that we probably spent the second most amount of time in. You'll find out what the first one was here in a second. But it's the Lego store. I must admit, this place was a little bit amazing. I'd never seen so many Legos in one place. I never had so much anxiety about stepping on little pieces with my bare feet. I had a good conversation with one of the workers here. Apparently she spent some time in the US, and we talked for about 15-20 minutes. I really was enjoying myself. Everybody looked so happy. This is just the way things are supposed to be. Everything just seems so right now. hope things don't change, I really do. But if you know me, you already know which store I spent the most time in. It's this joint right here. I really wanted to see what was going on with the new Mac Studio, and it looks like there's a lot of people in there, but there was nobody really around what I needed to see. So you already know I had to take my happy ass down to the lower level to get my hands on the merchandise. And this is where I spent some of the final moments playing with the new Macs, just marveling at the speed and how fast they are, and how much of my workflow I could get knocked out if only I had one of these babies. One day. All in all, this place was amazing. I will definitely come back here. I won't come back often because everything is super expensive. I cannot lie about that. But if this is any indication, I don't think malls are going anywhere, at least not in Germany so far. If there's something I don't see, then so be it. But this mall is doing good, and it's my guess that many other malls are doing just as good. But I personally would hate to see malls disappear. They're so good for being out and being social, especially for young people. So it's a shame that things are happening to the malls in the States the way they are, but I guess I made the right decision because to this point, Germany malls are it. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.